Give that a minute to do its thing.
One time
It's
came down.
God damn it.
I think it's working.
It's episode 341, March 21st, 2022 on Canadian Patriot Podcast. This is John McDonald with Music and the Truth Until Dawn. Right now I've got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. It's almost 9 o'clock Canadian, another day closer to victory, and for all of you out there, on or behind the line, in post, I will edit in your song.
And we'd love to hear your feedback about the show. So please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. The version of the show is available on Stitcher and iTunes.
We need your help to support the Canadian Patriot Podcast. Visit patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get a better quality version of the show for just $1 per episode. Show you're not a communist. Buy a CPP t-shirt for just $24.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com homepage and follow the link on the right.
That brings us to my favorite segment. It's called What Are We Drinking? Why don't we start with Liz and then go clockwise? Liz, what are you drinking?
Well, I'm drinking Nude. That's, you can't really see it, but it's a vodka soda. I'm drinking a few of them tonight.
Is
All
that
right.
better or worse than naked?
Nude's classier than being naked.
I mean,
Naked's just regular fruit juice.
Okay.
I feel like this is a
tastes
code
pretty
word.
good. I was going to say, I was like, I don't know what I'm getting into by answering that
Yeah,
question.
I thought this
so-
was a philosophical thing because, nude is classy.
No, it's artistic.
Yeah, and the French do it, but when you're naked, you're butt naked. That's just inappropriate and rude.
Yeah.
Always the French.
I mean, they're easy to blame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Benny, what are you
They don't
drinking?
under-
I'm drinking Honey Red.
You
PC
got to
Honey
take the
Red.
lid off that to drink it, bud.
I've already started, so
Who hasn't?
Letting
It's
us
Monday.
He's letting us catch up.
Evan, what are you drinking?
I'm also on the seltzer train, drinking a black cherry White Claw and a couple of them.
Well, I
triple
have
of them.
great news. There is no laws because of Gavin's drink choice.
Yeah.
That's not true. The government actually does not believe in that at all. I don't think it's a big deal, but apparently the police do.
Yeah, but anything we say is not used against us in a court of law because we're drinking. It's our plausible deniability.
And because this is an entertainment program.
Yes.
Oh, I guess that I should go next. I'm next in the rotation. I am drinking Black Swan Brewing's English Pale Ale. It's malty and delicious. Pierre, what are you drinking?
some 40 Creek and Pepsi, and then cold shots.
All right.
Yeah.
Peter, what are you drinking? Do they have anything to drink in northern Manitoba?
Other than polar bear piss.
Who do you think lives here? Of course, they have things to drink.
The military.
They have anything good to drink in northern Manitoba?
Depends if you like
I
Listerine or not.
brought.
Yeah.
I brought some whiskey. I'll be having that and some water tonight.
Okay, he packed his own. I see how it is. Well,
It's
I guess
expensive
that.
up here.
I mean, according to the CBC, northern Canada is a food desert and it's expensive, which makes me wonder why people voluntarily live in northern Canada.
Because it's beautiful.
I mean, yeah, but you can't eat the scenery, clearly.
There's a
You
lot
can
less
tell 'em
people there.
that-
I think that's the appeal. Just like
I'm
the
with you so
population
far.
is
Yeah.
not there.
Not a lot more convincing for me to go anywhere in northern if there's less people.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the lack of alcohol.
Don't mind 8 months of winter. It's not bad. 8 months
I
of winter,
mind.
4 months of bugs.
Well,
Eh,
there's variety.
yeah. I think I'll take the winner.
Yeah.
I bet they're big bugs too. But
Yeah.
on to the Patriot Challenge. 5 things every day, be a better person. We have suggestions. Exercise. Practice a skill. Read a book. Drink some water. And complete a task to improve your life. Go and grab the template and share it with your friends or enemies. Post it directly on the CSIS website. See what they say.
Yeah.
Upcoming events. Tentatively April 3rd, we're doing some sort of a group hike. I'm not sure if that's the case now or not, because I understand that Boris and Ace are tying people up in the greater Toronto area.
Yep, as they do.
So I guess Boris and Ace are tying people up in the greater Toronto area, April 2nd and 3rd. That's on the Delta 2 Alpha website to register?
True North Tradecraft.
All right, that's on True North Tradecraft. I'm relying on Gavin to update the show notes to plug our friends' businesses.
Yes, I'll drop a link there. It is on the Discord. I'll be there. My wonderful girlfriend Angela will be there. I know Dave said that he wants to go. Whether he actually goes or not is,
Well, Dave wants
Yet
to
to
do a
be
lot
seen.
of things.
Yeah.
And,
If you're in southern Manitoba, there will be an event at the end of June as well with Ace and possibly Boris working on that.
awesome. So we should get that into the show notes and plug those things.
Yep.
The Finnish Reserve Sport Association, Rasul, has got their March information updated for the end of May. We're marching in May. The last weekend, May 26th to 29th, is 4-day remote military march. The website will be updated shortly. If you didn't register last year, go ahead and get registered now. 4 days, as much rucking as you want. Minimum of, I think it's 10 kilometers to qualify.
Yeah,
Yes.
10 kilometers over the 4 days, not 10
Over the
kilometers.
4 days, and 10 kilograms of weight or more is optional. The prizes are better, and by prizes I mean bragging rights.
Yeah.
And the shop will be updated shortly, and you'll be able to register to get your it's on my desk, your sweet patches and medals.
Yeah. It's all about those medals.
So your participation award?
Yes.
I did. I bought a participation award.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. You got to pay to participate to get the award.
That's right.
Yes.
So
but
wait a second.
I got a
you
sweet
said that
patch
this
for my jacket too.
This was the military ruck. Is that what you said?
The Finnish Reserve Sport Association, yes. So it's affiliated with the Finnish military.
Oh, okay. So at least it's not our government. I mean,
No, our
No.
government can barely organize a. Well, that's an inappropriate thing to say, so I won't do that.
I'm drinking. Possible deniability. I didn't say a thing.
well,
Speaking of our military, though, we'll touch on that one. The Canada Army Run is going to be virtual again this year. September 9th to the 18th. Registration is open, 5, 10K, and half marathons. Combined 2 for only $10 more. The price right now is $50, I believe, until the middle of
Yeah.
April, and then it's going up to $55. $10
Yes.
more to add another event. And if you ran the race last year, use the discount code 2021 Finisher to save another $5. And when you register for that, you
Didn't
get
run the
a
race last year.
sweet
Can you also use
sweet
the-
shirt.
That's
I mean-
exactly what I was going to ask.
Promo
What
code.
happens if you use the promo code and you didn't go last year?
I don't know. They emailed me and told me I could use that promo code. They didn't tell me I couldn't tell anyone that was the promo code.
I mean,
Also,
I
they
got
already
the
kicked
same
me out of the
promo
army, so
code,
it's not like they can kick me out a second time. I mean, technically.
Is that like a badge of honor?
I mean, not especially, but it is funny. So,
Okay.
the Canada Army Run is going to be going on. I'm going to do the 5K run, and then I'm going to ruck the half marathon because
Yeah.
I like to be a special snowflake like that.
Everybody needs to be a bitch from time to time.
Wow.
Like
hurtful.
100% of the time. 100% of the time. Sign me up.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not even participating because I can't run for shit. But
I can't
You
either.
could
and
wheelchair
that's
the
not
whole thing.
stopping
They have a
me.
wheelchair category.
Yeah.
then I got to go buy a wheelchair.
And
Okay.
walk. Walk is also a category.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
The problem is though, and so like I signed up for walk last year and I did it. There are definitely some people that ran because there is no way that they walk that fast.
Yeah. So slow runners will say they're walking
It's kind of like
instead of saying they're running.
the event is kind of like swimming in the US where there are some people that are cheating.
By
No,
what,
no, they
taking
just
boats?
experience competition differently.
Yeah.
And bathing suits. I saw a picture and I was a little disturbed.
As
I
long as it was only a
thankfully-
little.
I have
Yeah.
thankfully not seen that picture, and I don't want to see that picture.
I'll text it to you. Don't worry.
Yeah. They're not quite as hydrodynamic as you would think.
No, no. I'm gonna ignore messages personally from Andrew for the next unforeseen future. I can see it now.
Wisdom.
$5 to join the
Wisdom.
swimming team, $10 to not.
$10 to not get the pictures of people in the swimming team.
One other event that I skipped over just quickly there because I had to pick on the Army because, I mean, it's easy and it's fun. TACOM is going on September 8th and 9th. You can find me not at TACOM because I'm planning to go to Meaford and shoot a PRS match because that sounds way more appealing to me.
Oh, so are we gonna talk about the other thing you skipped, or?
Oh, did I skip another thing? Oh, yes, I did. The National Range Day. CCFR got an Instagram page up, updated their website. I talked to Tracy recently. They're all full steam ahead. Saturday, June the 4th. Talk to your local gun club, organize events. I think the CCFR has actually started the process of reaching out to some gun clubs to try to proactively organize things, or at least some of their field officers have.
Yes, I have been roped into doing something with Guelph. So there will be something
anyone
going
at
on at
Guelph
Guelph.
been told that?
Yes. Jamie was talking with Joe and they're like, who do we know that's a field officer that's at Guelph? Oh yeah. So I got thrown under the bus by a few people.
Great. Come and see Gavin and I on June the 4th at the Guelph Rod and Gun Club, where we will be drinking heavily after the National Range Day.
Yes.
I'll probably be there as well. I have that.
Drive all the way to
feeling I'll make
Guelph
that
to
happen.
see people shoot badly? That's...
Well, yeah.
No,
Have you seen the
I'm
price
going
of
there because I
gas?
want to hang. I want to go there because we can hang out. But
Fair.
it just,
Fair. Well,
you know,
if you're
You know
in the Guelph area, stay tuned. Also, National Range Day Canada on the Instagrams for some information and stuff, and the regular website and everything else. Yeah.
Have fun.
I guess that's true. I said
Also-
Instagram. I didn't mention what the Instagram was. That's a good point. See, this is why Gavin's here. I'm not the marketing guy.
Well,
All right. Did I miss anything else in events?
no, but National Range Day. So someone in the Guelph area should order a T-shirt, and then I can put it off on my taxes, saying it was something to do with the tax shelter, and then I can participate for a lot cheaper.
Alleged tax shelter.
yes.
Yeah,
No,
that's
it's,
true.
It's not alleged. I got a receipt.
Andy
Technically,
actually
no,
got a
yeah.
T-shirt. Yeah, Andy actually
How
got
much
a
will
T-shirt.
this t-shirt cost me?
It depends on the price of gas.
Yeah.
You know what? It'll be a donation for the price of gas. If I can write all that off, it'll be a donation. I mean, a few T-shirts, maybe not a lot, but we can talk. We can figure this out.
I think if Gavin is organizing an event, we're going to need staff shirts and participant shirts,
Yeah, we can
all
make
from
something
off the wall
happen.
customizing.
Oh, we can make that happen, and I can almost guarantee you we'll have 2.5 staff members.
Recording has stopped. Well, that's a new error message. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll fix that in
Shit, was the
post.
tax shelter? Was it the tax shelter, or was it the thing about Listerine that got
We're
kicked off?
still live, so YouTube's
Yeah, yeah.
capturing all this. Hey, YouTube.
That's
but yeah.
fine. It's fine. I can see it's on YouTube. It's fine. I hope.
Oh,
Maybe we
this is
should
good.
just say all the like buzzwords that might get us kicked off all at the same time and see how long it takes us to get kicked off.
No, I think it's fine.
YouTube's easy.
To get kicked off YouTube?
I don't know. We've been trying pretty hard for.
We've
Three-
not been
three-
trying, and please do not
No.
encourage the YouTube people to
I
further
know
investigate this.
Good news, good news. There's so much controversial media out there right now. You might get lost in the weeds.
That's true.
I don't even know. Do we even count as being particularly controversial?
I mean, I guess
I've
that
def-
depends on who you ask.
I've
Depends
listened
how
to
much I've had to drink.
way worse.
There are some security agencies out there who are definitely paying attention to us.
I'm pretty sure
And
that
I
if
want to.
anybody
I want to
from
thank
my town
everybody at
listened-
CSIS and the RCMP.
I mean, out of every penny I pay for taxes, if we have to pay someone to sit here and watch us, like I'm kind of okay with that. Out of everything we pay for.
I don't want to pay somebody to be weirdly watching everything
No,
I do.
I don't either.
No,
but
no,
I don't
like
I'm
have.
pretty
normal.
I
sure
don't
I
have
Oh,
it.
can
yeah.
market myself. I'm pretty sure I
Yeah,
can market
but
myself
I don't
well
have-
enough that somebody would be that creepy.
Yeah, but I don't have a choice to pay taxes to pay for RCMP and CSIS, right? Because there's no
That's true.
checkbox that I can do
Wow.
anything. So out of all the funds I pay in taxes, if they're gonna pay someone to watch us, I'm out of all the options, I'm okay with those tax dollars.
I hope the person they do pay at least enjoys the show.
Well,
Even
that
if they don't even
depends.
enjoy the show, right? No, I'm all up for like, even if your job is shitty and you hate your job, you still do your job properly, and or find another job.
I feel like that's rare nowadays.
100%. But I don't disagree with that. But I mean, even if the guy doesn't enjoy it, as long as he writes down everybody's name except for mine, I'll send him a free T-shirt. Just saying.
You could just say you're one of the informants. They can pull an FBI on that.
I mean,
And then we
I
have to
for
get all
one
the
welcome
informants then.
another visit from our CSIS overlords.
So when's the episode where we're all wearing Spider-Man costumes and all pointing at the camera?
I'm really hoping for what did we say the National Range Day? June the
June
4th, when all of my internet friends show up at the gun range with matching black Suburbans.
Yeah. And Spider-Man outfits.
I hope so.
I don't get
We
the
should-
Spider-Man outfit reference.
There's a
You
thing on the
you haven't
internet.
seen that meme where there's like three Spider-Mans pointing at each other?
We'll
No,
send that
send
to
it
you
to me
after we
later.
send Pierre the swim team
Yeah.
photo.
That
Yeah.
makes me nervous.
I'm
I-
on
they
it.
should.
Don't worry.
It's roughly the same outfit.
Okay.
Yeah.
New Shooter Canada Ruck Challenge. Home stretch last third. We're in week number 9 now. 120 minutes. And Gavin's big giant spreadsheet. Everybody that's been participating, we are over 1,000 kilometers now.
Nice. How many people?
That's a great question. I'm in 6th place. That was as far as I counted.
That's all that matters.
Clear pass.
20 or
Hey,
so.
where am I?
20? That's not bad.
I-
That's
I believe you are. I believe you are beating me by 2 spots, Peter. I think you're in about 3rd or 4th.
I'll
Yes.
take it.
Kyle is far and away ahead of everyone because Kyle must run down hills in BC. My theory is that he starts at the top of the mountain and he runs or rolls very quickly down them.
Work smarter, not harder. Yeah.
Or you
Right,
just
well,
close his watch.
Yeah.
I mean, a strong possibility. And then there's a bunch of people between like 3rd and 6th that are all within a few kilometers of one another.
Well, I'm not on the list, so I don't have to worry.
Would you like to be?
Eh, Let's just put it this way: the broken treadmill that I just like kicked and swore at. Walking's not my. I don't know.
It's not your
I mean,
jam.
that's fair.
No, it absolutely is. I'm just.
so I have to do this week's while I'm gone
Okay.
for so I'm leaving tomorrow afternoon. I was hoping to do it yesterday and that didn't happen because I worked a lot longer than I wanted to. But I'm actually doing week 9 while I'm on my 11th year anniversary with me and Mel.
Ooh.
So
Does
yeah.
Mel know that?
Oh yeah, she's all up. Like I get 2 hours to myself. I'm gonna
prerequisite.
roll a few things and like sit down, probably take a bath or whatever while you're gone for 2 hours. She's okay with this. I didn't want to do it, but yeah, no, she's aware, and I think she was secretly hoping that I was, so that she could have 2 hours by herself.
I mean, that's fair. That's a good
Yeah.
plan. I like that.
Yeah, but you gotta make it happen, even if it's not the best opportunity. Oh,
We're still talking about hiking, right?
depends. How much have you had to drink?
Not enough.
Alright.
I
We'll
haven't
talk
had
later.
enough yet.
Don't worry, we'll all get there. Which I have celebratory news of sorts. We should get into the news. We're going to start with the gun ban, which I know is confusing because I said celebratory. The Liberal government, in their infinite wisdom, has kicked the can down the road 18 months. The assault-style firearms ban
saw
is
that coming.
delayed.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody on the show.
It's kind of weird though that the average minority government lasts 18 months and they've kicked this down the road 18
Well, it
months.
depends on how much you've had to drink.
Well, they've managed to,
20 bucks?
they managed to last a little bit longer as they got reelected as a minority government again. So
Only 20% of Canadians decided that they were worth anything. So
20% of eligible voting Canadians.
I know that's also true.
yeah, but clearly it's the 20% that counts.
Depends on how
You
much you've
know-
had to drink.
So the interesting thing is that only
That's
like
democracy pig.
around 50% of eligible voters voted. So it's not like it's, and then what, only like
Overwhelming
40%
mandate.
of that? Only 40% of the
Overwhelming
50%?
mandate.
I know. It's overwhelming. I'm underwhelmed.
As I think we should be, but I get to continue to own my previously legal property for another 20 months. And
Mostly on the
if the well, I mean, it gets to reside in my house, and to their credit, they fixed one of the broken things in the Ordering Council because you weren't previously allowed to move your now prohibited firearms because they didn't bother to make a rule for how to handle that. So now you can do it legally again in case you need to change the place that you store your firearms for some reason, like, I don't know, you move, for example.
Or you just don't want to
I'm not saying
store
it's a
them
good
at
thing, I
home
just-
anymore because apparently that's also one of the reasons they've done that.
Which is but that is a valid reason. If you were
Yeah.
in a situation where you were uncomfortable or unable to continue to store your firearms in your home, you can now legally take them to a place where you can legally store them. Which is what you should have been able to do all along. And the Firearm Center was letting people do anyway, even though technically it was breaking the law.
Yep.
Wow.
So are you allowed to take them
Order.
on
There's provision
store
now for
them?
them to give you an ATT.
But are you allowed
Yes,
to?
you are now able to go through the process to legally move them to another place where it is legal to store them.
So you
So
still need to get permission.
would a boat be okay? And then like
No, I'm not encouraging people have boating accidents, but I
I'm
mean,
not
sometimes
encouraging that. It's just a
in-
simple
in-
question of
So you
would
can't
that potentially
store them on a
qualify?
boat. But in theory, you could
Uh,
take a boat.
what if
transport it
you
from
resided
A to
on the
B.
boat? I feel like there's
Yeah.
a loophole here. I feel like
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a way
If
to
you have a
restrict
houseboat,
firearm on a boat.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Like so yeah, like so let's say I decide I want to hide them or not.
We can take my camper and put some pontoons on it. I can go all redneck. I'm down
I mean,
for it.
there are people that do.
I can't take my camper across water. I can guarantee you that is way too
Yeah.
fucking big.
There
So's
are people
mine,
that do
but-
live.
No,
in
you just
Australia
need a bigger
on their
boat.
Yeah.
You said anything about getting it across water. You guys.
That's the point.
Hey, buddy, I'm all up.
I'm not
for-
encouraging.
They charge
encouraging
out the
people.
airline.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I pay insurance, but I don't want a new one.
Hey,
I'm good
as
with the
long as
one I
it's-
have.
It's legally stored. It's still at that residence of that boat. It just happens to be at the bottom of the lake.
Right. So let's say I got to take a boat across a high water movage thing, and something happens to the boat, and all my pew pew guns are gone.
Well, you would,
Due
you
to-
would notify the RCMP that you have your firearms are currently safely stored, and then you'd identify the location for them
At the bottom of the lake.
at the
So-
bottom of the lake.
So would I get in the same amount of trouble as the RCMP when they lose their guns?
I don't think you would get in trouble. You would like, because you didn't lose them. You know where they are, and they're legally stored. They're just very hard to access at the current time.
Yeah, but
No, you'd be in
but-
big trouble.
I'm pretty sure you would be in big
What-
trouble.
you
Don't
just lost-
have boating accidents, and if you do, don't blame us. I do want to touch on the way that the new public safety minister had phrased this. So the announcement comes out because the owners of the newly prohibited firearms have not been
Can we
complying.
even say that they're newly prohibited?
Well, newly as of the 1st of May of 2020.
Recently is maybe a better, recently-ish.
No. Okay, so I'm using the language specifically in the Canadian Gazette.
Yeah, I know.
They acronym it down to NPF, newly prohibited firearm. That is the language that is used in the Canadian Gazette. I am merely reporting the news as the government has delivered it. Not that I necessarily agree with it. I'm just saying that's what
So- I see the problem with this whole logic now.
Well, it's the government. Yes, that's the
Yeah.
yes.
No logic.
But the government is unhappy that so few people have complied with the ban and have not turned over their previously legal property because the government has not actually implemented the buyback plan. So in order to encourage a higher rate of compliance and also develop a buyback plan, the government has extended the amnesty for 18 months. Because as we talked about 20 months ago, the government had no idea what they were doing and were just doing a gun ban to do a gun ban to make a soundbite to prove a point that they were the biggest dicks in the room and that they could ban all the guns. They didn't have any foresight or planning for this, which is really weird when you consider like every liberal government for the last 30 years has been trying to come up with a way to ban all the guns. You would think they would have had like a plan ready to go for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and how
Yeah.
many elections have they ran on the platform of banning the gun? So not even just like going back to like previous
But- and
liberal governments.
All of them.
This government specifically.
And I'm not saying that you have to like go into office with a plan for how to do everything that you're saying that you're going to do, right? Like first step is getting into government. The second step is figuring out what to do once you're there.
Yeah, no, but I would
But, like-
disagree there that you need to have semi sort of not a set in stone plan, but you do need to
You
have,
gotta
like,
have like
a PowerPoint. Like, you know, these are the 3 points that this is how we're gonna do what we talked about, right? Oh, that those 3 points changed to 60 points. Okay, but you still need a fucking. I mean, let's
like an
use it in this
overarching
case.
kind of a strategy.
Yeah,
like
let's use
like
a bullet
A
point.
plan to have
to
a
figure
plan,
this out.
at least. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
like I think they did have that. They implemented that, and then they like forgot that they have they literally had 2 years to finish this project, and then they're like, oh wait, shit, we have a project we have to finish. Someone call the professor and get an extension because I have no idea how to finish this essay.
Well, no, they were pushing some garbage through that, like, I guess sort of solved some of the problems, but not really because they still didn't have a plan. And then they decided to call an election, which squashed the plan. And now they've come out apparently with a new one, but they haven't even put the bill forward for that. And so they couldn't get the previous one done
doesn't
in
matter.
enough time.
The point
Yeah.
is that they had 20 months. They used an order in council, which is not legislation, to change the law. They had 20 months to do the work to actually make the legislation to change the law, and they failed to do it. And they've got another 18 months to do that. And I feel like it bears repeating. We've talked about this before. How many years of amnesty did the long gun registry get? It was implemented in 95, and the last amnesty ran out. We looked this up recently, like 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they
It
destroyed
was
the
like
files
20
that they
plus
handed to
years.
Quebec. And they destroyed
No,
all
no,
those files.
I'm not talking about the destruction of the long gun registry. When the long gun registry became law in 1995, you had to register your non-restricted firearms, and
Yeah.
there was an amnesty that lasted like 20 something years. It was like 21 or 22 years, where if you had an unregistered long gun, you didn't go to jail or lose your license. If you get caught, you just had to register your long gun.
Yeah. And there are still guns that were owned back then that were never registered. So even with the 20-year
I am not
amnesty,
turning in
yeah.
my AR-15s anytime soon as a result of this.
no. Certainly not within the next 18 months.
I don't see that happening. I
Yeah,
do not
but-
see that happening.
Devil's Night 2023 going to be lit.
I appreciate the memery, but I don't think it's going to happen.
No, I don't either, but it's just an interesting date of all dates for them to pick that the amnesty comes to an end. Like,
How do you think this is going to play out in the court case?
I don't think it's going to matter. I think it's just going to be like the amnesty has been extended and they're going to eventually figure out how to do a buyback, and the court cases will eventually go through the court and all of the appeals process, and they haven't granted an injunction after 18 months. Why would they start granting injunctions now? It's not like I'm going to suddenly get to legally use my AR-15.
If it was so important and it was such a big deal that we owned and operated.
No, you're conflating that it's a big deal that they wanted a soundbite versus that it's a big deal that I have the firearms in my house. Those are very different. Because all the firearms in my house are not breaking any laws or being used in the commission of any crimes. They never were. But it sounds good to ban them.
Right. But the judge has the judge not mentioned the fact that, that they have when they were trying to, when they didn't bring any of the evidence for it, whatever it was called.
So there's been a few things, but recently, this week, this month, also there was another small victory in that some of the evidence that the government has used to ban these guns, that they then went and said that, like, oh no, you can't see this. The judges actually said, no, fuck you, you have to show me this evidence. And
he has seen it now.
Well, I don't know if they've seen it yet, but the judges basically compelled.
How can you show
the
judge something that doesn't exist?
Well, there's some, I guess, some affidavits that reference some material or whatever from some of the Crown people, and the referenced material, they weren't being shown, and so now they're being forced to show that material, something like that. Tracy mentioned it briefly over the weekend. I didn't get all of the details, but there is something that was hasn't been announced yet. Like, they haven't put out a presser on it yet, but that's sort of the gist of it, is that some of the evidence that the government is saying that they're using but haven't shown because they can't show it because it's too dangerous to public safety to show it. They're now being compelled to show it because the judges basically said, no, fuck you, you have to. So,
I mean, they should have to, but
yes.
This
But
is
they
all
might
done
do that
in the long
other
run. It
thing
doesn't
like
matter.
they did last time when the judge said that, and then the government was like, actually, no, we're going to invoke this thing that never gets invoked. But
so can we? So I'm not smart enough or care enough to look into this. I mean, other than me just blabbing on the internet while drinking. So what are the stats year over year since this gun ban, right? This assault rifle ban, right? Across Canada. So it came into effect May 1st, correct?
Yes, May the 1st, 2020. And
Okay,
for
so
2020, intentional firearms homicides. No, all firearms homicides? All firearms related deaths was up 20% for the year. And the rate of firearm homicide, I should really double check and see if it's actually firearms homicide or firearms as the cause of death, because there is a distinction with those, because homicide and death are not interchangeable.
yeah.
But all instances of firearms related death, I believe in 2020 was 277 cases across the country.
Yeah.
Did that include the 13 in Nova Scotia that contributed to this bullshit?
I would believe that would be the case based on the year that it was.
Yeah.
Yes,
Maybe not, because when they first came out, they were attributed to arson. No, most of those deaths.
Oh, and I think most of those are still
yeah.
attributed
Trust
to
me,
arson.
if you really looked into it, I have a feeling the government probably would have put them in both.
Probably.
Well,
But, I mean, the problem
that's true,
is,
but
though,
you
is
just
that,
can
like,
see that the government is also saying that in the Portapique mass homicide case that they're saying an assault rifle was used, when that does not seem to be even remotely close to the truth, since all the firearms recovered seem to have been handguns.
yeah.
But
also, like,
a
two-thirds
patrol carbine.
Right, and a patrol carbine that was taken from an RCMP officer after having been shot with an illegal handgun. Yes, also that.
Yeah.
But I mean, 2/3 roughly on average of firearms deaths, and this is the problem, are suicides. And I imagine that, like, because of the government and them locking everything down for 2 years and not putting any money into mental health or drug addiction or any of the other things and isolating people, that number has gone up significantly as well. Now, whether those people have used firearms or not, I don't know, but on average, when they look at the total number year over year over year, about 2/3 of that are suicides.
So is the solution to this that you need to go to a government facility to access your firearms? That would solve it, right?
Don't give them ideas.
We already go to a
I'm
government
actually-
facility to access our firearms.
Yeah, I don't actually
Yeah.
believe like 95% of the statistics, especially since like that whole thing with the CDC came out with their numbers being.
How did you arrive at
25%.
95% of the statistics not being reliable?
I mean-
That's how many nudes she's had.
75% of the population knows that you can use statistics to prove anything.
Yeah.
So
140% of them agree.
I personally, so listen, I'm talking about myself, so I can make it whatever number I want because that relates to me and my opinion and
That's
what
true.
I'm feeling. I'm identifying as somebody who believes 95%.
That's fair. Can't argue with that.
Yeah. And I'm a white woman, so just
Wow.
either call me a Karen or put me in privilege.
Why not both?
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
about to say, I was like,
Same
most
thing.
Karens are perfect.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you are a woman, so you rank higher on the victim hierarchy
No,
scale than we
That's
do.
what I mean.
Yeah,
That's what
so
I mean.
Your opinion is more valid than ours.
Yeah.
did
Absolutely.
you know from the years 2000 to 2009, only suicide by firearm only accounts for 25% of suicides?
That's still a remarkably large number given the
Yeah,
difficulty that it takes to obtain a firearm in this country.
Yeah,
Well,
and the
I-
amount of
Mind you-
things you can actually use to commit
20
suicide.
20% of that were males, 5% were females. Majority of
Yeah.
people committing suicide are hanging themselves. This is from Stats
Yeah, well,
Canada.
so it's
I put it in the
still
notes.
like if you look at the stats, like it
Really?
generally accounts for 2/3 of firearms.
the highest cause,
but it is not the number one cause of suicide. It's usually third
Yeah.
or fourth.
it's so like people always do that. They say, oh wow, so many people die and they mainly die from suicide. But the leading cause for suicide is not firearms. There's several things above that. People tend to forget that.
I expected drug overdose, actually, like intentional
but
drug
that-
overdose.
So I don't even
poisoning-
think that
Like-
would fall under suicide, though.
Maybe
Well-
it's
No,
off slightly on a
intentional
tangent.
overdose. Intentional.
Yeah,
But yeah, you're right.
it is
Tangent.
popular. It depends. A lot of it's on gender as well. But yeah,
Oh no, and like this is maybe a little bit of a tangent, but I think it's worth exploring a little
Yeah.
bit because I feel like if we had a control group where you removed all of the firearms, you pushed the
Sure.
magic liberal button that got rid of all the guns, I don't feel like the homicide or suicide rates would change. It would just be the
No.
homicide or suicide by specific instrument,
it changes.
right? Like it's
slightly, but in
harder
no
to kill people without
meaningful-
guns, but it's
in
not
no
So-
like
meaningful way. If you
not
look at the
significantly
UK,
harder.
Yeah, if you look at the UK
Well-
and other places like that have banned guns, the
Mhm.
statistics are different, but like not significantly so where you could say, yes, it did this, yes, it did that, especially when you start separating out the firearms deaths from homicides and, intentional. So like it stays
So
within
this
a few
is, but
percentage
this is
points.
like, this is the collective issue, right? They're looking at fixing something that they perceive is going to solve a problem. Like the real problem in this scenario is suicide. Okay.
Yeah.
But like you mentioned, Gavin, they're putting no money into what is causing people to go down the road that decides that suicide is the best option for them. They're not even
Yeah.
looking into solutions for those. They're like, hey, so next thing you know, like anything that people have created a statistic in terms of killing them with, like you were saying, Benny, like hanging. Okay, when is rope going to become outlawed?
Yeah,
Like, and I
exactly.
don't mean that to be insensitive, but that's the reality of like half of these programs.
But
They're
this is the
band-aiding a situation.
problem, right? Is that like you need to have these difficult conversations where you actually talk about
Mhm.
facts
Yeah.
But the minute that you do that, the people on the other side of the argument, oh, you're so uncaring, you're so insensitive, you're heartless, and all of the things. You're like, well, no, I feel
Well,
bad
but
for all
if you
these
start
people, and I want to
breaking out
help them, but-
statistics, I'm required to be heartless because you are literally just
Yeah.
talking about numbers.
Yeah. But,
but they're
sometimes
important
you can,
because
you can acknowledge that a situation is super shitty. There's another, serious one in the world happening right now that's super shitty, but like you have to look at it with eyes that say, hey, what's the problem? How do we fix it? Or are we just actually compounding the problem by adding another one that's kind of related, but not really to the situation?
And this is the thing. So they go after the guns, and if 2/3 of the firearms deaths are suicides, and they do actually manage to ban guns, and all of the people that have guns legally hand their guns in, then the next year when they do the stats, they're going to go, look, see, gun deaths are down 2/3. It worked.
Right.
But nobody's going to go and look at the suicide number that's going to stay relatively unchanged. But this is the problem, is that like they never give you all of the statistics and show you how they all interconnect with one another. They just look at the ones that highlight their thing and go, oh, we did this thing and it worked, and therefore, yay, pat on the back, give ourselves another raise.
Well, but so somebody in the chat,
and all of the things, right?
Somebody in the chat made a good point, though. They're like, firearm suicides are more successful than lots of other types.
It's still not even number one on the list, though.
Right. So, I mean, the thing is that they're not tracking attempts either. So there should be, because it doesn't go back to that mental health aspect of like, hey, we have a problem, let's deal with the problem.
Right. And it's not even that. Like, firearms is not number one because firearms in Canada are not easy to get.
Even in the
Well,
US.
if you have a mental health problem, you're not likely to get a license or like.
It doesn't.
Yeah, no, not easily.
It certainly makes it harder.
Yeah.
It definitely makes it harder.
Even when you look at the places like the US, though, where the license isn't an issue, the statistics stay relatively unchanged.
Do you know what I think that is, though? Is that every Tom, Dick, and Harry has been raised around firearms. Like, they know gun safety relatively. Like, obviously, there's some people that are dumb, but like they're comfortable around it. They're like, hey, this end does damage. This end, maybe not so much. From a very young age, they're not afraid of it. And that's half the issue in Canada as well, is that everybody's afraid of firearms. Everybody's afraid to like hold a gun.
And 90% of that fear is not even understanding the firearm or just knowing the firearm, right? Like, you can take anybody out. Like, take them out and say, here, shoot a .338 Lapua or a .22 LR bolt action. Mm-hmm. They're not going to understand the difference between the recoil between the two or whatever. They just think, oh my God, if I do the squeeze on the trigger, my shoulder's going to blow out, my ears are going to blow out, and someone somewhere is going to die.
Well, and right? Like there's no education.
The projection issue. I have a friend who I took him out shooting. He had a great time. He even shot Gavin's Ruger #1, is it? Yeah. He's never going to do it again. Shooting's not for him.
God.
But his mentality before going shooting was like, how do you own guns? Like what happens if you get mad? Like, you're just going to go shoot something up or something? Like, he's not the kind of guy to do that. But like, his idea of like, you could get yourself into this situation that would put you where you might use them was something that scares him. So like, that idea of, which I tend to find liberals doing a lot of, projecting their problems,
their inability to control themselves.
Yeah, like, oh, I would get angry and I would start shooting people. Not me personally, but this liberal would say this, and so obviously you would do the same thing. You can't have a gun because that's what I would do.
Which is probably why they don't even have a fucking goddamn firearms license.
No,
right?
But
like,
for some reason,
once you understand, but once you understand that whole,
guns?
No, but once you understand that whole process of what you need to go through, right? Like,
but they won't.
Everybody on this panel has gone through that. Everybody on this panel has gone through that, right? And there was a small hiccup between me and Mel getting her gun license, right? Like, we did our course at the same time. It was get someone to watch the daughter with their course. And there was a small hiccup to very BS phone calls and very, very, very shitty fucking officers, that there was, a small thing on a record somewhere where the RCMP was kind of like, well, we're unsure. Like, I got my license, no problem. And there were, oh, well, we need a bit more info, and they're going back and forth and blah, blah, blah. And then, I mean, I'll give it to this RCMP. He was fantastic to deal with. No issues, call back, very down to earth person, but he was like, I have to ask questions. I have to do this. I have to do that. So, I mean, like, I kind of don't disagree, but at the same time, I'm like, it's so easy to just make a bullshit call on a person. Doesn't matter who it is, about anything. And, ill-informed police officers, or ill-informed / not really trained, right? Cops. I did a 2-hour course on how to walk in on as per the phone call would come in, a mental health crisis on someone, right? And just the unfortunate scenario where, that is this deciding factor on, are you capable of holding a firearms license or just being a regular person for 90% of anything, right? And that's the problem, is the lack of information and proper training for many, many things, for many, many departments and government places.
I've got a couple of spicy takes on this one. I mean, imagine,
Have at her.
and one of them's not even all that spicy, it's just common sense. But like, imagine the money that they're going to put towards the buyback if they'd actually put that towards like inner city youth programs and like drug addiction
Anything
and mental
else.
health. Imagine the impact that it would have on like not raising kids to be shitty gangbangers, not getting people into a life of drugs, which lead them into a life of crime, which lead them to commit gang violence and everything else, or dealing with actual mental health problems, because then you're going to actually reduce that suicide number, not just in firearms related deaths, but all deaths. And the spicy take on this one, though,
shitty people.
Anyone that has bought illegal drugs has contributed more to gang violence than lawful firearms owners.
Yeah, I can't say that I do a lot of contributing to crime in this country.
But like all the lefties that bought that
thought crime,
illegally,
how much
different.
do you pay in taxes a year?
Oh, too goddamn much.
All the lefties that have bought
You've
pot before it was
lots.
legal from their dealer have contributed more to gang violence than anyone on the panel has by being a lawful gun owner.
So it's
And
interesting. It's interesting that you say that though, Gavin, about just like investing in maybe in youth programs a little bit better, things like that. Because I know that that's one of the first things to get cut in social programming at things like the YMCA. Like
it's a proven thing that works, but the problem is that it takes roughly 10 years for you to see any sort of measurable improvement on that front. And
saying that we can't just change society overnight.
So
well, okay. So here's the problem though, is that when they look at funding, they look at it as a federal thing. So they look at like collective numbers. Oh, okay, in our time span of this government being in power, how successful is this? They look at it big, but they don't realize that on a much smaller community level, it's so impactful.
Oh, absolutely.
So
but I mean,
impactful.
that's the problem though, is that the government needs to go and say, I need to be able to show measurable improvement in 3.5 years, because we're going to start running the ad campaigns at 3.5 years.
I know
that doesn't
but that's
work.
half the problem. That's half the problem.
So 90% of this whole problem as well is,
I don't know about 90%. We've already established statistics are a lie, but go on.
Government is the problem. That's
150 of the percent of this problem is the fact that, let's say, okay, fine, a person dealing with something, talking to psychiatrists, psychologists, support worker, whatever you want to call it, right? Costs money for many people that contribute in society, right? Maybe not if you're living off the government teat that we all supply. So, if the best thing for you is to go talk to someone that has gone for school and, can help you understand how your brain is working and how to work around that to get back to a, in quotation marks, normal way of thinking, cost a shitload of money per hour. So would potentially fixing that problem would be more, as much as I hate to say government funding, but government funding into programs to help people deal with whatever is going on in their heads, and hopefully, yes,
Spicy take. If people would stop being so shitty and people didn't have such shitty friends, you wouldn't need to go to therapy so much.
100%.
A lot of people.
I've got a spicy take too.
A lot of people. There's actually a therapy designed about being a good friend, basically. In short, you listen to the person, you don't judge them. People can't do that.
I absolutely
and so you have
agree,
all these people
right?
who have all these little either that, or people are like, well, I feel a little sad today. I better go speak to a therapist. And now they can charge you X amount because they gotta really dig down and find out why you're sad.
Right. And there's that whole thing where, like, hard times make
Yeah.
you know
I know what you're saying.
that 4 fucking cycle thing there, like, someone fill in the blanks. I'm sure most
Tough
people know.
times make tough people.
Tough people
Which
make
makes
soft times.
Yeah, and then
Make
soft
soft
times
times.
makes
Soft make hard times.
So we're at the point where shit's pretty good and we're making a bunch of fucking 2-year-olds.
Yeah.
Is the problem, right? Like, people get offended when you don't call them Z instead of he or she, or they instead of whatever, right? Why? Because, like, we haven't gotten to that point, right? Like, stuff's good. I mean, other than the pandemic and the government making
even in terms of the pandemic, like, there have not
money
been
printer go burr.
A lot
right?
of people that have been, like, forced out of their homes or dying or can't feed their kids. And it's been shitty for a lot of people, but also in relative terms,
it's not bad.
Like,
would you rather
not
live
the Black
during
Plague?
Would you rather live during the pandemic of the past 2 years, or 200 years ago on a regular day?
200 years ago, hands down.
I'm at the point of 200 years ago. They didn't have face diapers.
The Industrial Revolution and its consequences have been a disaster for the
human. Most of the people complaining nowadays would not want to live in that world.
No, because
they wouldn't have survived. That's the thing. That's why I want to go back.
Because
I agree with Pierre, because we live in a weak society full of weak people, and the empire of nothing makes me very sad.
200 years ago, all these people that are fucking complaining about anything and everything, they wouldn't have fucking survived. They wouldn't be around. I wouldn't have to see a post from them or hear the gayness of the news. They wouldn't have survived. I would have been okay living back then, because there'd either be the really crazy guy that, like, everybody just throws a loaf of bread once a week to, like, leave him alone, or
a loaf of bread is a loaf of bread. Am I right?
But like, that's
the downside
is
that
200 years ago,
I wouldn't have my AR, but also the AR wasn't invented yet, so I wouldn't know what I'm missing out on.
But would you have had a Viking axe?
Very likely.
An axe at the very least, maybe not a Viking one.
Right, but
more like a hatchet.
But yes, an axe. I would definitely have had an axe and probably a musket or a rifle of some sort.
Right, so, like, 200 years ago, a lot of douchebag people that contribute to society would not be around. That I would prefer being there.
I'd be
compared to the
1800s is still the early 1800s is still. I don't know that it would be like a particularly difficult time. Like, we're still into like early industrialization.
Yeah, but guess what? There's no forensics.
We could have done something to prevent that.
There's no forensics back then. Go around, slice the fuck out of people that annoy the hell out of you. Get away with it. You can't do that shit.
Here, you're missing the point. It wasn't that there was no forensics. There was no reason to prosecute you. There was no one looking into it. So and so dishonored you. Okay, you dealt with it.
Yeah. You give them a cow or a goat or a chicken. I don't fucking know. Or you take a finger. Like, let's go back to those fucking goddamn times. You know?
I like it.
I'm about it.
Yeah.
Oh, I have bad news. One of the big events of the 1820s. Cholera outbreaks. Not a fan.
Yeah, but did they have to wear masks and shut down for 2 years?
No,
No, they
you
were probably
died
really
of
dying.
cholera.
They died.
Yeah, but not everyone.
No, just the people that died of cholera.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever.
So how many people were that
I'll
over a
take it.
2-year span?
I don't know. I will intern very quickly. I think it's going to be a very large number.
Is it an actual pandemic?
Yes, the cholera outbreak of like the 1820s killed a lot of people.
That's what I'm saying. This one.
But they
this
still
one
live
not so
freer
much.
than we did.
True.
True. I also still don't believe statistics. So it doesn't
About
matter
4
what
million
year.
people, it looks like.
That's nothing.
Okay, but like in what countries? Because I may agree or disagree
Globally.
depending on the
Globally.
globally.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I need more.
I mean, we'd have to see what the
statistics.
global population was to do a comparison, but
Yeah.
meh. I'll still
How did
take
it
it.
affect the genders?
I'll still take it.
Women
So
weren't
it wasn't
really,
only
like,
male, female that passed away,
trackable
right? 'Cause
things back then. So
If
we were
I
just
identify,
property.
if I identify it,
That depends on where you were.
What are
but
you
if you had-
identifying as, Pierre?
I don't know, but if you identify as anything other than male and female, would the virus back then know what to do that I would have survived and I don't have to
If
worry
you
about?
identified by anything other than male or female, you'd be locked up.
Yeah,
Which?
or also killed. But I mean, it really depends on whether or not you were sitting at a restaurant, standing at a restaurant. That's the real deciding factor.
Yes. Are you sitting or standing or
Yeah.
walking?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta slip off for a second. My pizza just showed up. Bye.
Hey, pizza.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that there's much else on this. I also am not convinced that we want to do much else on anything else because this was a good, long discussion on not the gun ban, but I enjoyed it nonetheless.
Yeah, no, we went way off topic. I don't know why, but probably me. My bad.
The liberals
No, it's-
decided to
it's
spend
fine.
250 million on to curb gun violence.
Well,
Again.
I guess that's worth touching on. The 250 million to curb gun violence and stop smuggling, I think, is actually money well spent. I just,
Yeah.
much like all of the money that they've previously spent, I don't think it's actually going towards going to stopping gun smuggling or actually be used in a way to, improve the situation of the average Canadian. I think we're just going to give money away, if we give money at all, to causes that don't matter. But it could be like all the other money that we spend on gun crime in this country, and we just promise to give it to the police and don't.
Or they're going to actually give it to the people that turn their guns in, which will be like nowhere near the replacement value. So all of those people get fucked. It's not going to actually do anything to help gang violence or mental health things. So they're going to spend a shit ton of money. No one's going to be happy about it, and nobody's going to be better off for it.
No, I was specifically looking at the article on it's Q107. Canada launched a $250 million fund to curb gun violence earmarked for a significant amount for gun smuggling at the border. Public Safety Minister, some Yahoo, Wednesday, fund municipalities, blah, blah, blah. And then it talks more about the 1500 model assault weapons ban for the May 1st Ordinary Council.
Yeah, but like, how many times have they said that they were going to give money for different things, especially the police, and just never done
At
it.
least twice.
Yeah,
At least twice.
They've-
We've talked
they've-
about it on a number of
yeah.
occasions.
They've earmarked billions of dollars.
I just clued in why they shipped Bill Blair somewhere else, because wasn't it Bill Blair that said something? And they put him somewhere else, and now they can be
Andrew
like, he
sounds
fucked
like
up.
a
He's not there.
robot on the internet because Andrew forgot to turn his VPN off because privacy trumps data quality. I will be back presently.
Yeah, you're sounding all fucked up.
Yeah, thanks. Got
I
it.
thought it was my
Is it better?
internet.
I think it might
try
still
again.
be.
Well, whatever.
Yeah.
It's good enough because we should probably wrap this up anyway, because it's been over an hour and we managed to get through the first set of articles. Someday, we will finally get around to talking about the Conservative election. I really hope I sound better at this point, or I'm going to be super sad.
No, you're
No,
not.
you're all fucked up.
Your internet stuttering.
Yeah,
Damn it.
but in our defense, we also have till September 10th to talk about the Conservatives.
Yeah, we got some time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Not like it's
still
next week.
crossing my fingers and hoping that Chong enters the running.
What would happen if they call election before September 10th?
Well, they can't. They've already. Oh, you mean like a federal election?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if they pull a federal election for September 10th, then we're stuck with O'Toole again, right?
No,
No.
we would be stuck with Candace Bergen
Oh, because she's
as the
okay.
interim leader.
She's the interim leader.
But this is the thing though, is so like the way that the Canadian government works, you don't vote for the leader, you vote for the party and your local candidate, which is bullshit because when you go up to it, like leading into an election, all of your local candidates have town halls and everything else to try to like talk to the people and get their ear. But then the minute that an election happens, when was the last time your guy had a town hall to talk about anything local? Right. So it's bullshit, and we are still voting for the leader just in a different way than the US does it. Because I bet most people don't even know the name of their local MP.
Nope.
Yeah. So you would still be voting for your local person, and the party would be whoever the leader of the party is at the time, but like that changes. So like
No,
they
but
did previously with like Kim Campbell and how she became the first female prime minister of Canada, was that she basically was the interim leader or whatever, because what was it, Mulroney stepped down. So like whoever the leader of the party is doesn't really matter, or like
No, because they represent the party on the federal on the national stage. So when you have those big debates, it's not between your MP and someone else's MP. What you're seeing on national TV is the party leaders talking.
yes, but
when
but
it comes
like
to
in the
liberals,
US
everyone's gonna
though,
oppose it. Yeah,
in the US
Sorry.
you vote directly for the president though, right? Like it's I
Right.
vote for, you know, Orange Man Bad or Mr. Dementia. Like those are my options, and I put an X in the box next to one of their names, and that's who I vote for. But for us, it doesn't matter. We vote for our local person, and whoever is the head of the party is the
Is the
one
head
that
of the
becomes
party,
prime minister. But at any point in the time, the party can change who the leader is, and then we get a new prime minister, as was the case with Kim Campbell.
okay.
Right, as much as this is, we talk a lot of politics, and I don't 100% understand government other than it's really shitty and I don't like them. So
It's okay. The worst thing I ever did was try to understand how government works.
yeah, so for example, right? So Justin Castro is our prime minister.
Yeah.
So if he
Unfortunately,
wouldn't have won his riding in the federal election, what would like, since he's the party leader, blah blah blah, what happens in that scenario?
I think he's still. Oh, what he probably still party leader, but he's not the prime minister because he's not a minister.
Right. So like he's party leader, but right. So he runs in his
it's
own,
rare,
his
but
own
it's
rally.
possible. So what would happen is basically they would just put him in a riding instead of somebody else.
Yeah, but if so,
Okay.
let's say he doesn't running or riding. So let's just say last
has to
election,
run.
right?
He has to
He has to
run.
run.
I think you're
So-
He has a
So-
riding in Quebec somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's say the last
What
election,
if he
right?
did?
He
What if he
didn't.
lost his riding list?
That's what
But
I'm
that's-
curious about, right?
that's what
Say he
curious about,
lost
yeah,
his
so-
riding, and a conservative, Bloc Québécois, whatever other
Doesn't matter.
party won his. Is he still considered prime minister?
Yes. So what they do is basically somebody else will step down and he will take their spot.
Ouch!
Oh.
Talk about non-confidence vote.
Yeah. So in order to like,
You
Have
know what?
the-
I was happier thinking in my brain that he
That's-
just wouldn't be in charge, that someone else would be like, no, fine, take my spot, and then he'd still be in charge. I'm kind of disappointed in me asking this question.
No, but it's a possibility, right? Because he does have a riding. His riding is Papineau or whatever it is, and it's possible that people there would not vote for him, and he would lose his riding, but the party would still win the majority of the ridings, and he would be prime minister, but would not have a seat in parliament, except that then, somebody just steps down and he takes their place, is how that would work.
So what happens if nobody decides to step down? Like,
they're not doing that
obviously.
option.
Well,
No,
but it's not a question of the party would do that. So just like they did with Barber on the provincial level, where the Conservatives got together, or like, peace, you out of here, buddy. The party would basically get together and decide. So it doesn't matter that they step down or not. The party would just eject somebody, because that's what the party has to do.
Let's just say we live in a real world where
we do. And no matter what your MP says, Liberal MPs vote according to party lines.
But it does not all MPs vote according to party lines, because all parties are equally terrible, because government is terrible. And there's no what ifs. Right. It's not like if nobody steps down, somebody would have to step down, because that's how that works. You could go for a vote of no confidence, but that would look really bad considering they won the election. So somebody would be forced to step down.
But so forced by who?
The party.
The party.
They would say, okay, you are no longer a member of the party, and the people voted Liberal in this area, so we're going to put in another Liberal person. Peace.
So the party. So let's just say in a perfect world where, no, let's just speak in.
That's not how that works.
No, but let's just stop talking politician words, where it's like, well, I got here by someone voting for me, and I want my fucking paycheck, right? So let's just say, for example, right, Justin Castro did not get into power, right? He lost his riding, and the party itself just said, hey, look, everybody got voted in, right? They weren't complete douchebags and voted someone out. What would be the scenario there? Like, I know this would never happen, but like, I'm just curious on how that would actually work.
Okay, so Chris brings up a good point in that, yes, if the party kicks you out, you become an independent, but like, they would force somebody to do the thing, because like, they would have no political career moving forward if they don't. And they all want to have a political career, and you would be the martyr that allowed your party leader to do the thing. And then you'd probably be given some cushy position for 4 years until you could run again in that riding.
I mean, theoretically, we know that that's how that works. Because
or you just become a member of the Senate. They'd fucking bump you up the Senate and get a fucking paycheck 4 days a year.
I think technically what would happen, because the system, even though we know that a martyrdom would kind of occur, but the system is set up so that you're electing the person. So I don't know if, like, the person would have to, behind closed doors, be convinced to step down.
Yeah. Which
but like, would it not go to the VP, like whatever,
Deputy Prime Minister?
There would
be
somebody.
She's also the finance minister, but that's not the order of precedence.
Well, yeah, she's like, also the deputy.
They would find somebody that is willing to do it, because they would give them the money, they would give them the accolades, they'd give them some cushy job doing something else, where they're getting and or giving all of the blowies, whichever they prefer.
But I'm just
curious, that's how that works.
Out of this whole scenario, right? We're talking someone is stepping down, someone is moving. What if nobody does? What happens at that point?
That won't happen.
No, but what if it did? Right? Like, but I understand.
It's not it's not possible, because somebody would do it. Like, even though I know you're saying it's possible, it's not, because but somebody would do it, because it's career suicide for them not to do that, and they would find somebody to do it. And everyone in politics wants to continue on being in politics, so they would force somebody to do it somehow, some way. They would kick somebody out of the thing, or cause a new, like, by-election, or do something.
I don't think you'd have to make it a big. It would not
Yeah.
be a big sell for it to be like, all right, so we need somebody that's going to get paid to be like a administrative assistant or whatever, or a parliamentary aide page or something. We're going to keep paying you,
Yeah.
but you're not going to be an MP anymore. And I feel like there'd be a lot of liberal MPs would be like, pick me.
Yeah. I get the same amount of pay with half the responsibility, if that. Fuck yeah.
Well, yeah, I get
like,
paid the same, and I don't have to do any work,
It's
and
probably
I
gonna
don't
get
have constituents.
yeah, but I'm just curious what would happen. Just out of I know
That's
this
what would
never
happen.
happen.
Someone would
That
step
would
down,
happen.
and the
That's what
PM would be
But
the
let's
PM.
say nobody steps down.
No,
Okay,
what-
so
that would never
here-
not happen.
Okay, so here's the thing. I think what Pierre's saying is like, if they followed the rule book, what would happen? Because
Yeah,
we kind of,
I'd still have a lot of AR-15s that I could go shooting.
No,
Yeah,
Oh.
but
I know,
No,
I
no,
know
but not
that.
even the
We
rule
know
book.
that,
Let's just
but
say-
like, I
let's-
personally think that what would end up happening is that without any backdoor deals, like aside from that, I think,
That's not going to happen. Nobody's
Yeah.
backing out. Nobody's stepping down.
right. So
Nobody's
it
doing
would
the
be,
political
Have you
suicide
ever
thing.
talked to a politician?
no, but
Right.
I think
That's
that
why
they would
I'm saying
have
this
to,
is all hypothetical, right?
yeah, no, I
But
get
that's
what
the
you're
thing,
saying
though.
here.
But that's
I
the
get what you're
problem with
saying.
I do too,
Peter's
but that's
version
the
of
problem.
Clown World is my favorite version of Clown World.
And I agree.
Like,
In a hypothetical
Here-
situation, what would happen, except that hypothetical situation would never happen.
Well, I-
Hypothetical is designed to not be something that might
But
happen.
you, but
I
you
know.
can't even have that because, like,
So,
sometimes
okay.
the hypothetical is like it's a shot in a million. This would never happen.
So is there a deputy party leader? Right?
Like,
So this is pre-prime minister,
Yes.
like before a leadership or a political party gets into power, whether
Sure.
minority or majority, there's got to be a runner-up that they have put in
Yeah.
place to indicate
Right.
that if the party leader does not get in their constituent, like get in the
according to Chris
riding.
W, it's not relevant. He doesn't actually have to be elected. If he didn't win his riding, it doesn't make a difference. He's still the prime minister because he's the prime minister. He's
But he
the-
wouldn't be
the
allowed
party
to
leader.
sit and vote in things
Right.
because he wouldn't have a seat.
right, so,
he
but
still
is he still
dictate
prime
what the party
minister?
does.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
then
Is
does
he
he
still
get
prime
two
minister?
votes as prime minister as
No.
well as elected
No.
PM,
No.
No.
MP?
No,
So he
No.
would still be party leader. He would in theory be prime minister. He would just not be able to attend things and vote
He
on
would not be able to
things.
attend the House. He would still be able to
Yeah.
run cabinet because cabinet positions don't
Yeah,
require but are traditionally held by members of parliament.
yeah. So he couldn't vote
You
on
don't
anything.
need to be an MP to be a member of cabinet.
Okay.
But
So
I
we've
can't
had,
think of
like,
an occasion where we've had an MP or a cabinet member who is not also an MP, because that's typically how they structure it. And you would have to refer to the individual parties' bylaws and constitutions to
Yeah.
determine the order of precedence in their own leadership. So yes, there are deputy party leaders, which is, for example, that's how
Well-
Candace Bergen got put in, right? She was deputy conservative party leader,
Oh, okay.
so when
Yeah.
O'Toole sat down, she got, not that promoted is maybe not the right word, but she is now the de facto person in charge. It's not like the party had a vote to be like, all right, guys, who are we going to put in? I'll vote for the blonde lady. It's not like, no.
No,
Yeah.
but she would have been
Just like-
voted in by the party previous to
That
that
wouldn't have
situation,
But she was
right?
she already held the position of deputy leader in the party.
That's what I mean. She would have been voted.
Yeah.
Like,
But
she would've-
I don't
previous to
know.
that.
I don't know, and every party is likely different based on their constitution and bylaws and how that order of precedence is established, whether it's an elected or an appointed position or not. And outside of the elected positions in the political parties, there were still all of the other apparatchiks that are involved. So you still have like party secretaries and other political organizers
Yeah.
who, while they are not running for or holding office, are deeply involved in how the parties operate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what would
So-
happen is that, like, if the prime minister didn't win their riding, they would go to somebody and go, step down. I get your riding and I make you a minister.
But I mean,
Because
we know
I-
that that's what happens, but I think the scenario is like what
But
actually
that's the thing, though, like-
transpires if
But that's the
somebody
thing.
does
That
it.
would that would
Emergencies Act.
never.
But actually, transpires would be the Emergencies Act.
Yeah, but that's
So-
the thing.
so
It's like
I
it
have-
would never happen.
All I
But
gotta
in
say though
theory-
is I don't know who's worse. Please don't ever put us in a position where Krista Freeland is our PM. I don't know what's worse.
I can think of a few,
Biden.
but
Like I know he's American. but
not
still.
even biting. I'm just talking about. Yeah, no, there's more. We'll talk off. We'll talk after. We'll talk after.
Yeah.
No, but like I have more questions than answers of my initial question of saying, no backdoor deals, no, someone stepping
No,
down,
Jack,
becoming a mess.
here, that's the answer.
reminds
You don't
me
have
of
to
my
be.
university
You don't
Pierre
have
for
to be
Prime
elected
Minister.
to be the prime minister.
The answer would be that they're still the party leader. They still get to run cabinet and go to do all of the things internationally.
So
they
they
can't attend a house and they can't vote.
So they still end up as prime minister.
Yeah.
Yes, because the prime minister is the first minister, the head of the cabinet.
You know what
Every
this
cabinet
reminds me
position
of?
is a minister.
Sorry, Pierre, but this totally reminds me of my university philosophy class. There's literally no answer, just more questions.
Yeah, and
I mean, that is
like,
life. Life
like,
is just
I've
a series
had
of unanswered questions.
like I had
Yeah.
to
Then you
start
pay
drinking
taxes and die,
earlier.
and then you pay
Yeah,
more
we started
taxes.
We started 8:30 instead of 9, so I started drinking earlier and everything. And like, yeah, just this is confusing.
Yeah, but Chris is saying again that like basically the NDP had that same
Why
problem.
is Chris not just here to educate us? Chris, get on the show already, bro.
He's exhausted from the sportsman show. But Jagmeet went.
Who
He's
is
the head of the NDP. He didn't get his thing. Someone stepped down, and then he had to run, and then he got elected in a safe riding, which is basically what they do. They always try to put them in a riding that's super safe and that has been whatever the party has been for forever. But if it didn't happen and nobody stepped down and couldn't be forced down, or they didn't want to force anyone down, they would still be the prime minister. They would still get to go to all the meetings and all of the things, except they would not be able to go and do the house, and they wouldn't be able to vote.
Like,
That's the only difference.
like, okay, so let's say that
Let's wrap
perfect
this
scenario.
up. Last hypothetical.
No, but let's just say, right? We take this perfect scenario where everybody says, "Get fuck Castro," and nobody.
But that's the
sits
point,
down.
Pierre. It doesn't
Right.
make a difference. No one has to. He's still
No,
gonna be the
but
prime
I'm
minister
just saying,
and
right?
not-
But put yourself in a worldly, like, okay, fine, the G7, the G20, like all those things where it's like, okay, Castro shows up, but like at the end of the day, you don't even have a fucking seat in your own goddamn parliament. Like,
Doesn't matter.
That kind of makes my pants tight.
Doesn't matter though,
Everybody
because
will think he's a complete douche.
So he would still get. They already
think that. Nothing's changed.
Yeah, but yeah, probably less.
Have you seen
Except
the
for
video?
Pierre's pants situation.
Have
Yeah.
you seen the video of everyone trying to him trying to shake hands with everyone and he gets denied? Like his wife, like everyone.
His wife's
Emotional
boyfriend.
damage.
Yeah. It's amazing. They don't
Which-
care. He doesn't care either, as long as he gets to go and get the government to pay for all of the things. And by government, I mean us. He doesn't give a shit. It makes no difference.
Yeah. So more questions than answers. Thank you.
All right. I guess this is more of a personal thing for Chris. I had a great time at the Sportsman's Show, and I did not consume any whiskey at all.
What about
Wink,
chicken
wink.
wings?
So, Chris, if you didn't enjoy the Sportsman's Show, it's because of poor planning. You had a booth. They don't check your bag. You should have been more prepared. Because I had a great time working the Sportsman's Show.
Yeah. That, and as promised, Chris, and I know you gave the thumbs up on it. I posted the link for the class with Ace and Boris. I've signed up, so hopefully I will see you there. Hopefully I will see Dave there. Hopefully I will see some of the other panelists there. And yes, I will also look at dates for a Stop the Bleed class as promised.
Next.
Oh, you just apparently good
Pierre's
speech.
pants are in need of things. Book club is coming up. We have one more week to the Extreme Ownership Book Club. It's Jocko and Clive Babin. We've done a Jocko book before. I will not be doing Jocko impressions. Jocko was not responding to my DMs on Instagram, so I don't think we're getting him on the show.
Stop sending them
Right.
butthole pics. I don't think the
April's book is
Jocko.
going to be George Orwell's Animal Farm, because we haven't done a good fiction book in a while. If you want to come and hang out with us, find us on our Discord. We should go around, though. Where can everybody find everybody? Peter's internet is bad. Apparently, northern Manitoba prices of food are expensive and the internet is unreliable. So we'll start with Peter. Peter, where can everybody get in touch with you?
Off the wall customizing at Gmail or Instagram or a bunch of other stuff. My wife set it up. I don't know.
Good.
Look us
good
up on
enough.
whatever social media things. If not, just send us an email. We'll figure it out. We can make it pretty much anything you can think of.
All right. I want to direct all of the National Range Day shirts to you. I think that'd be
100%.
funny.
Give me a week or two. I'm pretty sure we can come up with the design. We're not doing shit this week because we're doing our anniversary getaway. And next week, I got to travel to the butthole of Ontario or Canada in general.
Yeah, but it's not till June.
but-
You got lots of time.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, give me 2 weeks. I'm sure we'll come up with something funky, spunky, potentially spicy, depending. And yeah, we'll make it happen.
You've already got a logo. You just got to print it. It'll be fine. It'll be good.
There
I
you go.
want some shirts. I want a
Sounds
shirt
good.
that says staff.
You
And also
know what?
something for me to
Actually,
wear.
funny enough, we made a bunch of t-shirts, or we made a few t-shirts for a company today, and we ended up actually making an extra shirt that says staff. So I mean, I already got that part. It's sitting right there, man.
Perfect. So you're like halfway there.
Yeah, I'm halfway there.
You,
So yeah,
you are the
we can-
bond to my Jovi.
Living on
You're
prayer.
the-
Liz is
You're-
questioning my musical choices. Liz, where can everybody find you?
I don't remember my handle and my phone is charging over there. So usually
Perfect.
Instagram.
You
Instagram.
mean to pull it up for you?
She's
Yeah,
living,
worst comes
living,
to worst,
living her best
listen-
rural life.
Listen
Yeah.
to another episode or next week's episode. Just carry on with
Yeah.
listening,
Absolutely.
and you'll
Do your
eventually
own
get
edge
it.
turning.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Peter is now the can to my ass. No wait.
Yes.
Benny, where can everybody find you?
Videos.ca. We hopefully are going to get a restock of rifle cam loaders by the end of April. Yeah, come order.
Yeah, where can everybody find you?
When I'm not volunteering at the St. Patty's Day parade over the last weekend or attending a class where I get tied up by Ace or Boris, you can find me on Instagram, UrbexGTA.
If you've listened to the show this long, you deserve a discount code. When you're shopping at RagnarokTactical.ca, use discount code Patriot at checkout. Travis used that today. Travis ordered this morning. His order shipped this afternoon, and his order will probably arrive after Canada Post loses it, buries it in soft heat for 2 weeks, finds it again, and then delivers it to his address.
Yeah.
But it shipped today, so that's my contribution
That's
to
still
that.
that's still a week faster than anywhere else.
That's just government.
So thank you, Travis, for listening and using the discount code. And your tourniquets are on their way. I have to apologize to Rod Giltaka. I tried to get Rod to come out for the Sportsman show on the weekend. He delegated that to other members of the CCFR, so I got to see Tracy and Colin and Jamie and Barb and Greg and a couple of other field officers from the CCFR. But for some reason, Rod didn't want to go to Mississauga.
I don't blame him.
I don't know.
I mean, other than going to see Gavin and you, since you were there, not much other reason. In a
I
non
was there,
I live
and-
here and I don't blame him. Yeah.
If you were like the right people and came to the booth at the right time, I had whiskey for sharing, allegedly. In Minecraft.
I got to give you my really good flask for the next one.
I don't have that many friends. It's okay.
That just means more for you, buddy.
That's a good point. If you want to send us feedback, you can drop us an email, feedback at CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. Let us know how we've managed to derail this episode, go this long, and not actually talk about all that much. But that's okay. Next week, we'll finally get to the conservative leadership race. It's been in the show notes for like a month. It's fine. We got time. It's not till, when do they have the election? September?
September
We could
10th.
do a
They keep
whole
adding
episode on it.
candidates, so
Yeah.
Fine. we'll be good. I'll call the Conservative Party leadership, and we'll see if we can get them on since Ron's busy. I have to apologize. No, I don't apologize anymore. I'm so used to doing the old
You
outro.
did that.
For all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I'd like to remind you that you are a small fringe minority